On the 22nd of April, saffron-robed Buddhist monks began a week-long peace walk across Sri Lanka. They were accompanied by a rescued stray dog, Aloka, that has become a celebrity in its own right. Remember, the peace walk from the United States concluded in February this year, and now the group of 13 Buddhist monks walking barefoot in the scorching heat, promoting peace for all beings, including animals. The group reached the capital on 28th of April, where they were received by President Anurakumara Dissanayake. Heartwarming visuals indeed. Hello and welcome. I'm Kripa, and this is another edition of Inside South Asia. Let's get started. At least 7 people were killed and more than 80 others were wounded in eastern Afghanistan on Monday when Pakistani mortars and missiles struck a university and residential neighborhoods, according to Afghanistan's authorities. But the claim was rejected by Pakistan's Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, though it stopped short of explicitly ruling out any attack within Afghan territory. Our next report brings you the details of this latest flare-up in hostilities.
The South Asian neighbors Pakistan and Afghanistan, who share over 2,500-kilometer long border, have been locked in a bitter dispute ever since the Taliban stormed back to power in Kabul in August 2021. Islamabad, facing a rise in attacks on its security forces, has repeatedly accused the Afghan government of providing a haven to anti-Pakistan militant groups, a claim refuted by Kabul. In the first week of April, representatives from China, Afghanistan and Pakistan held informal week-long peace talks in the Chinese city of Urumqi, aimed at resolving escalating armed border clashes. But fighting between the two countries erupted once again on the 27th of April, threatening to derail the fragile peace negotiations. The Afghanistan government said that mortar and rocket attacks launched by Pakistan struck a university and residential neighborhood in the eastern province of Kunar on Monday. The attack killed at least 7 people and injured more than 80 others. Reportedly, about 30 students and professors were among the wounded. According to Taliban officials, a portion of the Syed Jamaluddin Afghani University in Asadabad, the capital of Kunar province, was damaged in a cross-border shelling by Pakistan.
In the afternoon, we were here when a rocket struck this building. Students and teachers were inside the classrooms and lessons were in progress. A number of students were injured due to the shattering of the windows.
Yesterday, I was at the market when I got a call from home saying that a rocket had hit our house and some people were injured and I should come home immediately. When I arrived, the injured had already been taken to the hospital with the help of the villagers.
According to the latest figures we received from different districts, a total of 88 people have been transferred to Asadabad Hospital in Kunar. Among them, 7 have been killed and 81 are injured.
Refuting the claims of unforgivable war crimes against civilians and academic institutions, Pakistan's Ministry of Information and Broadcasting dismissed the reports as continuous propaganda. The competing claims over the attack on the university have stoked fears that the already fragile ceasefire might completely collapse. Residents on both sides of the porous border are bearing the brunt of the fallout. According to a senior Pakistani security official, 4 Pakistani soldiers were killed in heavy exchange of fire that began on the 26th of April between Pakistan's security forces and Afghan Taliban forces at the Chaman border sector. Additionally, residents of villages near Pakistan's border city of Chaman fled the area on Tuesday, following days of cross-border shelling from Afghanistan.
At 4:15 a.m. we were sleeping. There was an explosion. When we came out, the place was on fire. Something had fallen here. 2 young men were buried under the rubble. We pulled them out and took them to Quetta in an injured condition. One of them was martyred. We appealed to both the governments of Pakistan and Afghanistan to sit down and resolve the matter. Take care of these houses. Children and women are crying at night. Take care of them.
Since the escalation in hostilities last October, a lasting deal has proven to be elusive despite several rounds of talks. Reportedly, the security issues have proven to be a major sticking point, and this recent escalation in hostilities seems to have negated the positives of the Urumqi peace talks.
Blistering temperatures across parts of India have pushed conditions to extreme levels, turning ordinary summer days into a test of endurance for millions. What should have been a gradual seasonal rise has instead escalated into an intense heat wave. It has disrupted routines, exhausted outdoor workers, and forced entire communities to rethink how they move through the day. The sun is indeed bearing down relentlessly, and with little relief even in the early hours, the heat has become an overwhelming presence across the country. Here's a report.
In India, summer once arrived with a familiar rhythm that everyone almost looked forward to. It was the season of mangoes stacked high in local markets, of school holidays filled with long, carefree days, and slow afternoons spent resting under the wide shade of banyan trees. But over the years, summers have become progressively hotter and longer. As of April 2026, according to the India Meteorological Department, the year 2024 was the hottest year in India since the nationwide records began in 1901. This year too, a severe heat wave is sweeping across the country with unprecedented intensity. By the end of April, large parts of the country, following days of increasing temperatures, were caught in this scorching heat. Be it the crowded streets of New Delhi or the deserts of Rajasthan, soaring temperatures now grip the plains of Uttar Pradesh and even coastal regions which once provided relief from the heat. Across towns and villages, frequent power cuts and exhaustion just from stepping outside have become the new normal. Outdoor work is being reshaped around the heat, with many choosing to stay indoors during the harshest hours of the day. Offices are emptying early, markets lie shrouded in dusty haze, tourists are cutting trips short. India's marble wonder, the Taj Mahal, which once saw staggering footfall, now witnesses a decline in visitors. According to readings from the IMD, temperatures in several areas have climbed close to 48 degrees Celsius, triggering repeated heatwave warnings. In some regions, cases of heat stroke have led to serious illness and even loss of life. Tragically, 2 school teachers working on census in Mayurbhanj and Sundargarh districts of Orissa died due to alleged sunstroke. The temperatures here topped 37 degrees Celsius. Still, people are finding ways to cope with the small adjustments that make survival a little easier. In many cities, it is common to see people covering their faces with wet cloths to protect themselves from hot winds and dust. Stalls selling coconut water, sugarcane juice and other cooling drinks are seeing more customers than ever, as people look for quick relief from dehydration. The intense heat has also led to a significant increase in the demand for air conditioners and desert coolers. Some solutions are more innovative. In Ahmedabad, traffic police officers have started wearing cooling jackets fitted with small rechargeable fans to help them manage long hours under the sun. In schools in New Delhi, water bells have been introduced, regular reminders that prompt children to drink water throughout the day, helping them stay hydrated. Teachers actively ensure that children refill their bottles or drink water at fixed intervals, countering the heat's adverse effects. In cities like Patna, authorities have installed thatch coverings, green shade nets, water sprinklers are also added in zoos. Tigers, monkeys, birds and reptiles huddle under mists and near ponds, seeking refuge from the scorching heat. In addition, the National Centre for Ocean Information Services has issued warnings of marine heat wave conditions across multiple ocean basins, including the Arabian Sea and the Andaman waters. Rising sea temperatures threaten fisheries and marine ecosystems, adding another layer of concern to an already stressed environment. The IMD has said that hopes for respite hinge on weather patterns developing in the north. Forecasts indicate that a western disturbance will moderate conditions starting in the Himalayas before easing into the plains. For the fortunate, cooler hill stations beckon as sanctuaries. Kashmir's Dal Lake in Srinagar and the Pir Panjal passes offer a stark contrast to the baking lowlands below.
We've come from Mumbai, where temperatures are around 37 to 40 degrees Celsius, so it's far more pleasant here in comparison. Back home, it's difficult to even step outside at this time of day.
I think, I feel very lucky to come at this very ripe season. Everything feels very perfect, like the weather's perfect, and it's quite nice. I mean, it kind of reminds me of the UK when it gets quite chilly at night as well, so it's nice to have a bit of a taste of home.
The Indian Meteorological Department also indicates that a hotter than normal summer is expected this year, with an increasing number of heatwave days likely ahead.
In Nepal, the newly elected government under Balendra Shah launched a large-scale eviction drive in Kathmandu, sending in bulldozers and police to clear and dismantle the illegal settlements along the banks of Bagmati River. Promising improved living conditions, authorities moved forward with the operation. Yet for those displaced, it has opened the door to an uncertain future. Our next report tells you more.
In the Kathmandu Valley, along the still and heavily polluted waters of the Bagmati River, stands a world that most of the city rushes past without seeing. For decades, these riverside communities have been home to thousands of families, many of whom arrived from rural Nepal in search of work and stability. Without formal land ownership, they gradually built their lives on the river's edge, turning marginal land into permanent settlements out of necessity, not choice. The holy river of Nepal now serves as a repository for sewage and solid waste, with water quality failing to meet safe standards as it passes through the densely populated city. These settlements along this river have existed since the 1980s and have steadily expanded along the Bagmati and its tributaries. Daily wage laborers, street workers, and low-income migrants formed tight-knit communities in areas most of the city considered uninhabitable. The homes here are makeshift but enduring, corrugated tin walls, tarpaulin roofs, and salvaged wood assembled piece by piece over time. These homes are in a fragile balance with the river, especially during the monsoon, when rising waters bring a constant threat of flooding and loss. Despite repeated flooding over the years, residents rebuilt each time, staying close to the city's economic center. But now the lives of people living here were disrupted when authorities launched a large-scale eviction drive along the river banks. Bulldozers, backed by heavy police deployment, moved into informal settlements, displacing thousands of residents. In its aftermath, families could be seen hauling belongings through dusty streets.
I don't know if I should live or die because I don't have a place to stay right now. I am okay with whatever Balin Shah does. I don't say anything to the government.
The operation was ordered by the newly elected Prime Minister, Balendra Shah, who has framed the crackdown as part of a broader urban renewal strategy. Shah wants to transform riverbank settlements in the Kathmandu Valley into green belts. Balendra Shah's administration has said the evictions are being conducted with police support and offers of temporary shelter with a 2-day notice issued before clearances began.
For the past 3 days, we have been making announcements to evacuate the settlement. We asked people to leave here by Friday evening and told them that if they did not have a place to go or live, they should contact us through all 3 levels of security agencies: Nepal Police, the Armed Police Force and Kathmandu Metropolitan City.
The long struggle against urban flooding and pollution continues. But for residents like Dambar Bahadur Tamang, the hope for homes safe and floods is weighed against the pain of leaving.
It's okay for me. The government has done it. Staying here, you have to fear floods. So I think in some ways it's a good decision. I even helped the authorities remove the structure myself today. The government should investigate and distinguish between real squatters and fake ones, and I would be happier with that.
The evictions have drawn widespread criticism from human rights organizations, including Amnesty International. These groups have warned that forced removals carried out without adequate consultation or secure resettlement risk worsening an already severe housing crisis. Local groups have raised similar concerns, pointing to past clearance efforts that left families in unstable conditions or pushed them into other informal settlements. The government now faces the dual challenge: rehabilitation of displaced populations and developing the cleared land sustainably.
From Buddhist monks in the high Himalayas to political exiles in South Asia's mega cities and refugees in Australia, Europe and North America, 91,000 Tibetan voters on 26th of April cast their ballots for a Tibetan government in exile in an election of major significance. We get you more details in our next report.
The 5-year Tibetan parliament in exile sits twice a year and has 45 members from across the world, 30 of whom represent 3 traditional provinces, 10 representing 5 religious traditions and 5 representing the diaspora. On the 26th of April, 91,000 Tibetan voters spread across 27 countries exercised their franchise in the final phase to elect their parliament in exile.
The Tibetans in exile, almost 90,000 plus, have registered as a voter, and today is the final election, and we expect that the percentage of the voter turnout would increase as compared to the preliminary election.
Headquartered in Dharamshala in northern India, the Tibetan Parliament in exile functions as a representative body for an estimated 150,000 Tibetans living in exile worldwide. Earlier in the year, on the 1st of February, the exiled government's Sikyong or leader, Penpa Sering, was elected for a second term, after securing 61% in the preliminary round, a high enough threshold to win outright. The Chinese Foreign Ministry calls the Tibetan exiled government an illegal organization that completely violates the Chinese constitution and laws.
It's a direct message to China that despite their disinformation, despite their illegal occupation of Tibet and the false narrative that they are trying to promote the globe, all over the world, Tibetans are expressing, this kind of a signal whereby we are continue our struggle and that we haven't given up and that we will continue to, move forward in this struggle.
This election is especially significant as the Tibetans worldwide brace for an inevitable eventual future. Without their revered spiritual leader, the 19-year-old Dalai Lama, the supporters of the Nobel Peace Prize laureate are only too aware of Beijing's proclamation last year that it must approve the Buddhist leader's eventual successor. The Dalai Lama says only his India-based Central Tibetan administration, a key institution for the exiles, has that right.
Well, I believe that His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama was well aware of how his aging age could impact the Tibetan democracy, but more importantly, the Tibetan freedom movement. Hence, it was a deliberate effort from him to pass over the right to decide to the elected leadership. So he always knew what he wanted.
It is to be noted that the Dalai Lama, believed by the Tibetan Buddhists to be the 14th reincarnation of a spiritual leader first born in 1391, has been based in India since fleeing the Tibetan capital Lhasa after Chinese troops crushed an uprising in 1959. All eyes are now fixed on the 13th of May, which is when the results of this crucial election for the Tibetan parliament in exile are expected.
Bangladesh's Sundarbans. It is the world's largest mangrove forest and is once again being terrorized by the pirate gangs who are back kidnapping and extorting the people trying to make a living on its labyrinth of rivers. What explains this criminal resurgence after about a decade of relative calm and containment, largely attributed to a 6-year-long crackdown? Our next report explores further.
This is the Sundarbans, the world's largest mangrove forest. 60% of its total area is located in southwestern Bangladesh, a UNESCO World Heritage Site renowned the world over for its immense biodiversity, including the endangered Royal Bengal tiger. Today, the forest is witnessing a resurgence of pirate gangs, whose nefarious activities have made it a dangerous and potentially costly place to operate. 47-year-old crab hunter Mandal was kidnapped and held captive for nearly a month before being released for 40,000 taka, and that's an equivalent of $370 in ransom.
They abducted 4 people, me and 3 more. The rest, 3 managed to flee at some point during a gunfight with rival group, but I was surrounded by the robbers, so I had no scope to flee. They abduct people for money, mostly. Now, if they behave well with us, they know that people won't pay the ransom, so they often beat the abducted people and behave ill.
While some pirates are linked to arms traffickers or are simply criminals, young men, often driven by crushing poverty and mounting debts, join these notorious gangs to make quick money. It is to be noted that the Sundarbans waters yield close to 29,000 tons of fish annually, and the control of this abundant resource has long fueled violence. An anti-piracy drive launched by the government in 2009 lasted 6 years, and though hundreds had surrendered, the full dismantling of the networks wasn't achieved. Investigative reporter Mohsin ul Hakim, who helped facilitate the surrender of hundreds of pirates between 2016 and 2018, said many gangs operate as enforcers on the Sundarbans waterways.
Right now, 9 groups of pirates are active there, while every team has 12 to 20 members each. They have weapons, mostly handmade, and they have been robbing people for some time lately. In fact, the tendency increased recently and the rate of the ransom is also higher.
Taking advantage of the political chaos sparked by the 2024 uprising that toppled Sheikh Hasina's government, many of these gangs, lying dormant for close to a decade, resurfaced again.
After the surrender in 2018, the robbers were at their home for some time. After the August 5 uprising in 2024, they became scared and the authorities stopped taking care of them. The Rapid Action Battalion, which was entrusted to take care of them, they became inactive after August 5 and the surrendered robbers got scared. As a result, one portion went back to the Sundarbans for robbery and another portion started it again for money.
What has been the government's response to the menace? Now, according to the Bangladesh Coast Guard spokesman, some 100 raids have been conducted, 56 pirates have been detained, 78 arms and other ammunition, including cartridges, air guns and locally made firearms have been seized.
In 2024, during the uprising, the situation was a bit volatile. The pirates took that opportunity. They thought they can serve their interest by taking the loopholes of the law and order system. but then soon we took over and became operative in maintaining stability in the Sundarbans.
But the forest workers aren't convinced. According to them, pirates, familiar with the terrain, managed to easily slip into the mangroves, where even trained personnel struggle to navigate the treacherous, root-choked forest floor. What's even more alarming is that the unchecked piracy threatens not only human lives but also the ecological balance of the Sundarbans. Criminal gangs operating within the mangrove forest in the past have caused deforestation, illegal resource extraction and poaching of both tigers and their prey. With the resurgence of pirates, the Sundarbans is at risk again.
That's all we have in our show today, but before we go, we leave you with a glimpse of Ganga Expressway, the longest highway now in the Indian state of Uttar Pradesh, which was inaugurated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Take a look. I will see you again next week.